Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at, is it still safe to use your Braille Sense U2 in the year 2019? Well, the sensible answer to that is, of course, no, it isn't. Because basically the Braille Sense U2 uses an operating system based on Windows XP, which, as you know, Microsoft no longer support anymore and halted support for Windows XP in April 2014. But the Braille Sense also uses Windows CE 6.0, which was supported last year, which was discontinued last year. Now we're going to take a look at the Braille Sense and what makes it unsafe to use. Now I've customized my Braille Sense with Windows XP sounds to give it a proper Windows feel. So we're going to take a look at it if I haven't turned it on already. Now, because I've kept the Braille Sense because I collect vintage gear, as you know. So we're gonna take a quick look at my Windows XP Braille Sense. And we know that Windows XP is not safe. So we'll just power it on.
Power on.
There we go, Windows XP's booted up.
Task name, YouTube. Top menu, video search.
Now the biggest problem is, of course, YouTube. Because YouTube no longer supports Windows XP devices, I can't actually sign in to comment on videos using this Braille Sense. I'll give you a little demo of that now.
Menu, sign in, S, common dialog. Login ID, jordanlivesey9mail.com. Computer login password. Computer edit box, save password. Check auto sign in button.
And if I try to sign in, I get an error message. You'll hear the error. It's trying to sign me in.
Internet is not available. Sign in.
And that's what you get, because it's a Windows XP device. I also customized the games to work with Windows XP as well, because, to be honest, the built-in system game sounds are really, really childish, which I don't like about this.
File manager, Sense Dice Game.
So if I was playing the Brain game, for instance, you get the Windows 2000 boot up sound, which I absolutely love, because, come on, who doesn't love Windows 2000?
Game menu. Memory game, M, menu item.
Okay, so while there is no way you can actually change the system sounds through the Braille Sense's built-in functions, you can delete the original WAV files and replace them with WAV files that are stored on the disk, and then copy them into the location and rename them as the sound file that you originally deleted, and it should start playing that file instead. But let's look at our programs. All we have is a file manager, a word processor, document reader, email, media, organizer, web tools, social networking, which of course contains MSN. Who still uses MSN? Extras, games, utilities,
settings.
No, I suppose I don't need to speak because the Braille Sense will be speaking, obviously.
Help.
So what are your options? Either get a Braille Sense Polaris or go for the Braille Note Touch. Because HIMS no longer provide support for the Braille Sense U2 anymore. They've shut down their download service, so you can't actually download any more updates or use. But this is out of warranty anyway. But certain sounds still provide repairs, but they won't provide any security updates or anything. Because even though you can't actually get malware on the Braille Sense, you could still be vulnerable on the internet because you're using Windows XP. And also, the Braille Sense won't connect to a Windows 10 device properly, but it can connect to this computer I'm using through Bluetooth. I'm going to show you how Bluetooth works. Go into settings. Oh no, where is it in settings? Yeah, it is.
Set time and date. Set up Bluetooth manager.
Bluetooth management.
Scanning for devices. Please wait.
Scanning for devices. And it's looking.
Found PC 120.
and it's found
PC
my computer.
127 14 15 LT 34. Trusted. 1 List item.
Try to connect to it.
Scanning for services. Please wait. Unknown 1 List
But
item.
there are no services.
Connecting service.
Because
Unknown 1
they're all Windows 10
Unknown 1
related, and the
List
Braille
item.
Sense is Windows XP.
Task name. Sense brain game. Memory game. Menu item.
Now, a lot of these games are based on Ubuntu games because the Braille Sense is running inside of Ubuntu as well. But I looked on Microsoft's. There is something that is in the Braille Sense's system drive about the Windows CE Web embedded server.
File manager. SWW.
So I'm going to go into there right now.
Flash disk data.
Flash disk.
/ period. Application data.
Yeah, NAND.
NAND folders. Apps folder.
Sound.
Sound folder. Alarm 1.
Oh no, I'm in the wrong folder.
Sound folder. NAND folder. Windows folder.
Windows.
Desktop.
There isn't anything in it on the Braille Sense, but if you transfer this to a USB, you will find desktop shortcuts for Windows XP programs such as system.cpl, media player. None of these are going to work on your actual PC.
Favorites folder 289. List fonts folder.
But all these are Windows
List
XP
item.
related folders.
Programs folder 489. Recent folder 580. Startup folder 68. www.windows31.dll889.
And there's the
List
stuff that
item.
makes up Windows.
Add a seal with 31.
But you want to go over to your www
That's
folder.
www remote admin folder 13.
I think
List
it's in the
item.
remote admin folder.
Above folders current httpd.log33. List item.
Current HPPP. I don't know what that log file is, but I'm going to take a look at it pretty much later.
Current httpd.log33.
Current
List
HTTPD. Now, the Braille Sense runs on a totally insecure connection. It is totally insecure. I don't even know why Victor and Sight and Sound are still distributing these when they're actually putting millions of users at risk online. Anyway.
Above folder 23. Remote admin folder. Remote admin.
Because this is Windows XP remote admin.
Captures folder 1.
Captures,
images folder 2. List remote admin. Above folder default.htm11.
There we go. Default.htm. We open this in Internet Explorer 6.
Starting web browser. Flash disk. Windows www above default.htm. Windows C.
So if we read this now.
Windows C. The Windows Embedded C web server is enabled on this device. This file is a placeholder and should be replaced. Please see your platform builder docs or our website at link http msdn.microsoft.com embedded. End of page.
And as it says, it's out of date. So basically, today users are still getting out of date technology in the form of the Braille Sense U2 for £4,000. Now, as I've said before, HIMS have halted support for the Braille Sense U2 here. So Braille Sense U2 v8.5 UK was the last update for us. Although if you were in the US, you get 8.6, but that doesn't change anything because your Braille Sense is still insecure. We're going to take a look at some websites that you can't go on with the Braille Sense. If I try to go on my Outlook, for instance.
The connection with the server was reset.
It's not supported. It doesn't work on the Braille Sense.
Facebook logo. Link.
That's because it's out of support. Now I'm going to show you where the Braille Sense is unstable.
Task name, file manager. Default.htm11. List type.
Let's say I want to go on Twitter. It won't even not Twitter.
Subject, athlete.
To my email.
Mailbox, inbox 14. List item, account name, POP3 Microsoft 23. List item.
To my Microsoft account.
Receiving mailboxes.
It is super slow at loading. Now, pay no attention to what they say on the website because the Braille Sense is not fast, especially when using Google Maps. It is absolutely slow. It does not provide power and speed you have never before seen in a note taker. The fastest note taker that I know of is the L Braille from Freedom Scientific and GW Macro, which surprisingly has Windows 10 on it. And who doesn't love Windows 10? I absolutely love Windows 10. I am using Windows 10 on this computer right now. And this Braille Sense is using a terrible operating system called Windows XP. Now, let's say I want to go to my...
Deleted 2/3, archive 1, drafts 3, inbox 413.
Say I want to
Receiving
go
message
to
list.
my inbox. Now, this opens normally, although the Braille Sense is being slow, as it usually is, because of how unstable it actually is. But
Unread subject, Jordan Livesey, 1998. See more of the things you love, 4646.
If I try to open this message, just watch.
Opening message.
Extremely slow. I could just be watching the Braille Sense from every move. But while you're trying to open a message, the Braille Sense is also doing something else too. Yes, it is also trying to delete other folders in your mail, but also this is where the Braille Sense U2's built-in malware kicks in. Yes. I have said in countless Facebook posts that the Braille Sense U2 has built-in malware, and what it does is it'll send a random email to your contacts, posting pictures of the London Eye for some reason, which I really don't like. And I've seen this malware in action. The only thing you can do about it is reset the device, and that usually stops the malware. But if you just carry on using your Microsoft account, then it'll carry on spreading. So I've just reset it now because it wasn't opening the message. The Braille Sense U2 was actually designed to trick. When it says opening message in IMAP, what it is actually doing is kicking in its built-in virus to hack into your email account. I don't like how it's doing that, and that's why I think the Braille Sense is unsafe to use. As you can tell, that's HIM's startup screen.
File manager.
And we're back in our file manager. Wait for the internet to connect, as it has done. So Windows has confirmed the internet's connected. Because this runs under Windows, by the way. So what can you do to minimize your Braille Sense spreading malware? Well, first of all,
File manager.
Delete the email folder. But don't delete the entire folder.
List database folder 110. List email folder.
Go into the email folder.
List IMAP folder.
Delete the IMAP folder.
Delete. Delete folder completed. POP.
This disables the Braille Sense from connecting to the IMAP server and spreading the virus. Now, there's no way you can remove this virus because it comes bundled. Because it comes bundled with the software. Very, very bad trick, HIMS. Very bad.
File manager.
So as I've said before, what should you do? Well, if you still own a Braille Sense U2, I recommend stop using it right now. It is not safe to use. Windows 10, on the other hand, is extremely safe, and the Braille Sense can only connect to Windows XP and 7 devices only. But in 8.6, you can connect to Windows 8. Now, there are removed there are hidden programs on the Braille Sense that they were going to put in, but they were not compatible, like the Brain Number Baseball game, which was part of Linux. So that's the main reason I'd totally go against you getting a Braille Sense U2, mainly because of how old it actually is. I mean, this was made in 1999. I'm actually going to go over to the help section, and you can hear the information about this Braille Sense that I have.
Help overview. Information about the Braille Sense U2. Copyright C 2001-2016 by Selvas Healthcare Incorporated. Static box.
Now that's the software copyright 2001 to 2016, but the actual hardware was 1999.
Text-to-speech copyright C 2001-2016 Ivo Software SP ZO Static box.
Now that's for the built-in eloquence synthesizer.
Portions C 1983-2016 Microsoft Corporation. All rights reserved.
Now that's
Static box.
That's for your Windows license.
Braille Sense U2SW Ver 8.5 UK build 20,170,219.
So that's basically the hardware and software version.
Braille Sense U2 HW Ver 1.0 static box.
So the hardware is 1.0, which is pretty bad.
MAC address 000BE5005EA5 static box. MAC address wireless LAN 74.38610D34 static box. Device name RealSense U2165 static box. Operating system Windows C 6.0 static AS contact 8242-864-4460 static box. Email himson.com homepage www.himson.com homepage.
Now, the last time the Braille Sense got an update was back in 2016. So, of course, there are no updates coming out for this unit. So I definitely recommend getting a new unit. And why I think it's important to get a better device? Well, the Braille Sense is actually hindering my actual progress in working sometimes. In fact, its spell check is unstable. It does not replace the original word as it's supposed to.
File Manager. Word document reader, email, media, organizer, web tool, social, extras, games.
The games you get are pretty childish as well.
Sense Dice game.
We're going to the brain game.
Sense Brain game.
Love that glorious sound from Windows
menu.
2000.
Memory game. Menu item.
Plus, it makes the Braille Sense feel more like a Windows device this time. Memory game.
Reverse game.
Reverse game.
Chase a criminal.
Chase a criminal. That's the only game I play on this.
Multiplication.
All the other games to me are completely kiddish, childish. Kiddish. Is that even a word?
View ranking. A. Menu item.
View ranking.
Exit. Z. Menu item.
Exit.
Task name. Information about the Braille Sense U2. Homepage.
Of course, Facebook does work on the Braille Sense, but you can't use all the features that you can do on Facebook, mainly because they're not supported anymore on Windows XP. Nor can you use all the features on YouTube, and it's required you use JavaScript on the web browser, which the Braille Sense doesn't come with. Very clever hymns. If you're going to be selling an expensive piece of equipment, you want to make sure that the web browser functions properly, because a lot of websites aren't even working anymore. For instance, Outlook no longer works because you get an error message. You can only use m.facebook.com, which is kind of terrible. You don't even have a camera. Now that's why I got a Windows 10 device in the first place, to replace this Braille Sense. But apart from all the bad things the Braille Sense has, it is lightweight, portable and stuff. It is good for recording, but I wouldn't recommend you use it all the time. In fact, MIDI support. Now this is really interesting. The Braille Sense can open MIDI files, but the MIDI sequencer is good. That's what I love about the Braille Sense. MIDI. You can open MIDI files. That's all I use it for now, and for going on Facebook, because that's the only website that appears to work on the Braille Sense. I mean, if I try to go on, let's say I try to go on Google Maps, for instance.
Open URL. GOOGLECOM/APS. Loading. Google Maps. When you have eliminated the JavaScript, whatever remains must be an empty page. Enable JavaScript to see Google Maps. Link. Loading.
If I click
Enable JavaScript to see Google Maps help.
Now, of course, loading. You can't do this on the Braille Sense because there is no setting for this, which makes me wonder is I think they rushed the development of this Braille Sense. I mean, GW Macro were the original makers of the Braille Sense, and if you own a Braille Sense Classic, you'll know how good it was. The Braille Sense Classic provided power and speed you had never before seen in a note taker. This is completely the opposite now. So if you were looking for a Braille device and you came across an advertisement that advertised a Braille Sense U2, you would not be getting what you chose. It would not be providing speed and power, especially if you want to go on the internet. But it is good at opening documents, as if that's the case, but the power and speed has nothing to do with how good the Braille Sense actually is as such. You can't open NTFS volumes. Like I've got a USB drive, which is an NTFS file system. Whatever I did with it, there it is. This is my NVDA drive. I've also customized Windows 10 with Windows XP sounds as well. I put this in. The Braille Sense detects it, but it doesn't appear in the menu. It only recognizes FAT32, which is of course an insecure way to store files on your USB drive. Whereas, if I put it into one of the slots of this computer, and I can't reach the USB slot for some reason. Let's take this one out. Maybe not. It's still in use. I know. I'll take the keyboard out temporarily. This is going to take a bit of a... Oh, it's in. If you guys can see, then a new icon will appear on the screen in your file explorer, and this USB will appear in the F drive, which means you can open it. So I can open this on the computer and view its contents, which I can't on the Braille Sense. Now, if you're still using a Braille Sense and you feel affected by what's been covered in this video, do not be afraid to talk to me about some advice on some really good note takers, because I've done some research and looked at really cool Braille note takers. Ideally, you should be getting a Braille note taker like the Braille Note Touch Plus, because it's a really good Braille note taker. Do not make the mistake of getting the Orbit reader, because that is nothing compared to this. You only get 20 cells, whereas you get 32 cells on here. I'm going to take this USB device out. Sorry about that. My computer can't decide whether the USB drive is in or out or not. Now that sound is a Windows XP sound. I basically downloaded that to customize Windows 10 to look like Windows XP, because I loved using XP on desktop back then. Because the default Windows the Windows XP sounds, the sounds of Windows XP are awesome. You've used Windows XP, you'll know how good the sounds are. Put the keyboard back in, and let's look at some more features you can do on the Braille Sense. Surprisingly enough, I can actually use an external keyboard on this Braille Sense. I'm going to unplug the keyboard again and see whether I can use it with the external keyboard. Now I'm going to try and tap something, see how the Braille Sense reacts.
File Manager input has been changed to Computer Braille as QWERTY keyboard supports only Computer Braille mode. File Manager.
So now,
Word document reader.
This is what I love about the Braille Sense. You can actually control it through your computer keyboard.
Email. Media. Email document word processor.
Open the document.
Top of document.
Let's just mess up the word processor.
E.
I'm going to save that.
Save as dialog. E. Saving. Save completed.
But you're able to use a whole lot of really cool features on the Braille Sense now.
Slash, apostrophe, semicolon, colon, greater than, less than, question, colon, left bracket.
Surprisingly, right bracket doesn't even work.
Right brace, left brace, E, left parenthesis.
So obviously that's terrible. The Braille Sense doesn't have support for a right bracket.
G.
It doesn't even support capital input. What an idiot. You see, this is what HIMS need to... If they're programming some device, they want to make sure that it can
Caps lock on.
easily use capital letters if you're holding down the shift key, if you're accustomed to doing that on the computer keyboard. But there's no way you can use a capital letter, which is terrible.
L. Caps lock. Caps lock. E. Comma. Slash apostrophe 7. Caps lock. Caps lock off. Asterisk. Percent. Dollar. Number. Exclamation. Tilde. Grave accent.
So of course you've really got
File L. F. Menu item. Help closed.
You've really got no chance of getting used to the Braille Sense with a computer keyboard.
Asterisk. Dash. Slash. File manager.
The Windows key usually brings up the program menu, which is nice to know.
File manager. File manager. File manager. File manager.
But you can't use Control Shift and Delete,
File
which
manager.
is terrible. The Braille Sense is not a good device to use.
EPGL. Save. Yes. Prompt button. No. Prompt button. Task name. Quick browser. Enable job.
I'm actually going to unplug the keyboard from the Braille Sense now. Plug it back into the PC. So, in summary, no, it's not safe to use a Braille Sense U2 in 2019. Why, you may ask? Because internet connections are not secure on websites, and you may be asked to enable JavaScript, which is just also really, if you want to use a lot of applications. And it could be because a lot of websites are trying to block you access to their server because you're using an unrecognized device, which of course the Braille Sense is. And the Braille Sense has got some hacker hardware installed on the Braille Sense, which I don't like. When I got this, I was expecting a secure piece of equipment, but it turns out I did not get that.
Contracted Braille. Contracted Braille. Enable JavaScript.
I just ended up getting something that's insecure. I'm just going to shut it down. Sorry you didn't get to hear Windows XP startup sound. I mean shutdown sound. Mainly because my speakers are terrible. So that is basically it. I mean, if you want to carry on using the Braille Sense U2 in 2019, then you're putting yourself at risk. Because, well, while the Braille Sense U2 is great on many different websites, especially Facebook, because it still has support for that, you can't share that much content. Still has support for Bing, surprisingly. So if you're using a Windows XP PC, you can still use Bing. And personally, I love Bing. Google search doesn't work on the Braille Sense if you're doing it from your browser, your quick browser. That is. You can still go on the HIMS website, the hims.inc website and the hims.intl website. You can't open that many files. The Braille Sense can't even open its own program files from the File Explorer. And now we're going to compare that to Windows, but we'll be doing that in part 2. So stay tuned for the next video.